welcome to a few Goldilock Bears podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about things we love, things that we hate, and things in the middle. This could be things that we're indifferent about, that we're ambivalent about, that we're on the fence about. These are the gray areas of life. These are the things that aren't in the black and white, that they don't maintain to your precious polar opposites.
V for Vincent. That's who I am.
None, J for John.
D for Dave.
Ah, I thought you were going somewhere else with that for a second.
Yeah, I contemplated it.
Yeah, I wanted to dial M for murder.
Oh,
You know what, guys? I can see it in your eyes. You guys want to fucking talk about the topics, loves, hates, and differences, but let's slow it down, all right? Remember your blood pressure. Let's slow it down and let's look back fondly at old topics in a segment we call the Deja Fuse. I will go. So, uh, mine's very quick, but it's something that's kind of it's like a itch I had to scratch or something like that. When we were talking about medieval torture devices, I barely noticed it, but when I was listening back, Dave, you said, "Oh, like the guillotine or the guillotine, right? That torture device." And it always stuck to me where I'm like, "Oh, it's not though. It isn't. A
No.
guillotine or a guillotine is a death machine. It's a death device. They did not torture anyone with the guillotine. Like that, like as soon as that was brought into the conversation, that meant you were dead. Yeah. That's all I had to say.
I mean, I feel like it could be used in torture, if you stick their foot into it and you just take the foot off,
Ah.
push them in another couple inches,
Hmm.
you
yeah.
know? I mean, you could get creative with it.
Wasn't it designed because they thought it was the most painless death they could think of at the
Yeah,
time?
Yeah,
And
the
yeah,
most
then
yeah.
humane way to kill someone. The oxymoron of being humane while killing.
Yeah, it's instant death, right?
well, that's the thing. There's this is a horrible anecdote because I can't remember how it turned out, but I feel like some scientist was either being put to death or there was a scientist who knew someone who was, and they were like, basically, their goal was to like blink for as long as they could
Uh,
after, like, like to see if they could keep blinking for some amount of time after the head was removed. And I don't, first of all, if that's real or how it turned out if it was, but now I'm curious.
it's like
I've heard that too, and I heard that he was blinking for like 20 to 25 seconds or something.
Jeez.
it's like
But then, like,
medieval Mythbusters.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I feel like, but then there's like people who debate, they're like, well, he probably wasn't conscious, but if he was blinking prior to his head being cut off, then the blinking is just like involuntary, like nerve synapses going off and still firing.
I mean, let's hope
But
so.
yeah, that's creepy and crazy.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the synapse thing because, like, I think on Edumacation they were talking about how they could chop off someone's head and then lift up the head, slap it, and then the eyes would pop open and just horrifying the crowd. But like that wasn't uncommon thing to do. I guess maybe depending on who and what crime they committed to get their head chopped off, but yeah, death device. That's all I gotta say. All right, let's get the show started. Dave, go ahead.
Let's talk about something I love. Something a little more lighthearted than medieval torture devices. Let's talk about that thing from the 80s and 90s that we all fondly remember, and that's going to the mall. Um, I loved going to the mall when I was a kid. Like, it was such a special treat to go to the mall. I think probably because, like, I grew up in a small town of like 1,500 people, and there was nothing but, like a grocery store and a gas station, and like there was nothing there. But if we drove like 30 minutes away to the larger city of Eau Claire, they had the Oakwood Mall. And the Oakwood, it's still to this day for malls, it's pretty awesome because it's not too big. You're able to walk the entire mall and like not like it's like we'll talk about the Mall of America, which is like the biggest mall or one of the biggest malls.
Of
Um
America.
yeah. And like the mall is just great. Like it was great when you're a kid. It was like sometimes you would want to go there just to hang out with friends, to like kill time on a Saturday. There's a movie theaters attached. You can go watch a movie, then walk around the mall for you know, like, and you don't have to buy anything at the mall. You can just walk around and go to GameStop, or maybe you go to the arcade and spend a few bucks, but then you can go to like Hot Topic or Spencer's Gifts, or like go down to Suncoast Movies, and like they had this huge selection of movies, but it was all the way in like the back corner of the mall where like, oh man, I always forget about it. And then when you get to that end of the mall, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot Suncoast is down here. And then, you know, there's like Christmas shopping. If you're like, oh, I gotta do some Christmas shopping, you just go to the mall and you just do all of your shopping because they had like the Hallmark store where you can get cards. They had like a Yankee candle. You can get your mama candle. You could go to Shields All Sports and get your dad like a hat or something from there. Like going to the mall is so much fun. There's like the movie Mall Rats, the Kevin Smith movie. Like I love that movie. It's not even like the best movie, but it's just nostalgic. Like I think Kevin Smith has better movies, but it's just nostalgic because it's like, oh, the mall. Like it's I freaking love the mall. And yeah, and I remember going to the mall ever since I was a little kid, and like now it sucks because like with the internet and online shopping, people generally don't go to stores as much. In retail shopping, the sales are so much lower because everybody can just get stuff delivered to their house. Um, and it's a bummer because I miss malls. So, like, I live close enough to a bigger city in Tulsa where they have two malls. One of them sucks, and the other one's okay, but they're not great. And like, oh, like, and the ultimate treat was the Mall of America. My grandma would take us to the Mall of America, and we would spend an entire day, like, we would get up very early, show up, like, when you could just walk in the doors, and, like, they were still opening up the stores, and you were just getting in there. I think we would stay there all day. They got, like, a theme park, like Snoopy's Playground or whatever, and then it turned into some other different names, Nickelodeon Land and some other stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but like the Mall of America was huge. My grandma would take us there, and she would like let us buy like one outfit for school. So I'd be able to, she'd let me get a pair of shoes and a pair of pants and a shirt. And it was like the coolest thing ever because I felt like I was rich when I was with my grandma because my parents would never buy stuff like that unless it was from like Kmart. But like yeah, the mall is just like super nostalgic, and it's kind of hard to replicate as an adult. Because like now when I go to the mall, every store just wants my email and my phone number and like me to sign up for a rewards card, and I'm standing in long lines, and like it's horrible to park. Like if I want to get like a soda, the vending machine is like $3.50 for a 20-ounce soda. Like I don't know, just everything, all the magic is gone as an adult, and it kind of sucks.
Oh man. Yeah, the last time I was near a mall, I didn't go in because I'm like, I just, I'm so old now, and I know that because like there's a group of teenagers by the door, and I don't want to go near them. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
like,
it is. It's like a young man's game.
right, yeah.
On the other
Although,
hand, if you're an elderly person like me, you go to the mall before the stores open and you do your mall walking.
yeah. Oh man, so the cafeteria, did you mention that? That was always nice.
Food court.
Yeah.
The food court, yes, the food court.
Get
Um,
like a Sbarro's pizza.
for Eau Claire, the best was Rocky Rococo's pizza. Oh
Oh
my
yeah,
gosh, love it.
so good.
But I haven't had it for a long time because that's the only place that has a Rockies is in that mall, even though it's right next to
Then there
the
was
big doors.
And then there was that place that did the chicken teriyaki where they would make the chicken teriyaki in front of you and the portions you would pay like $8 and they would give you like 2.5 pounds of food. It was amazing. You would eat half of it and you'd be like extra teriyaki sauce and they would just pour it on there and you're like, yeah, so good.
Oh my gosh. I always found the Hot Topic employees pretty funny. Because, like, I don't know. I mean, they were all dressed in black. Were they goths? I don't know. But, like,
That
spiky
was the
hair.
vibe for sure, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. It was
If
always
you
so
ever
weird.
asked them a question, it was always just like you'd get like a weird snotty answer and they would never help you. And then you'd just be like, yeah, I don't know what I expected when I asked that question.
I don't know. But the overall, I like that store. I just didn't really. It's not like I hated the employees, but they were just this odd presence. I don't know.
I felt
Yeah,
like they were
well,
always talking to their friends who were, but like you didn't know who was working and who wasn't because they're all dressed the same. And maybe they were all employees, but it just seemed like people are standing around chit-chatting.
Yeah.
yeah, but I wasn't gonna let the demeanor of the employees stop me from enjoying myself there.
uh,
I feel like um just malls weren't really a big part of my youth because, like Eau Claire was the closest mall for me too, but that was closer to an hour than half an hour. And like um just like if there and like I wasn't one to just drive to the mall or whatever. And like my parents certainly weren't gonna drive me like when I was younger than that and drop me off there or whatever. Um Now like living in the Twin Cities, it's like malls everywhere. I feel like shopping malls, if not originated here, they certainly like flourish just because, it's so cold in the winters that everybody wants like a giant indoor space. And um when I first got married, we lived in Egan and the Mall of America was like the closest mall to us. So if we needed mall stuff, we would just go there as like so it wasn't even like, oh, here's our big outing. It was just like, oh, that's the mall we go to. And um when people from out of town visit for work trips or whatever, like like the Mall of America is always an attraction to take people to, and I pretend like I'm over it or whatever, but I actually love going there. Like, um, like last time we like played laser tag there, and like they had like an axe throwing thing up on the fourth floor, and like there's just like actual fun stuff you can do there, apart from like looking at the giant Lego creations and go on roller coasters and stuff like that. Like I enjoy that a lot. Um, Apart from like the Mall of America, I don't really go to malls anymore. I did for a while when I was super into like retro video game collecting. There'd often be like a used retro video game store at like various malls around the area, and I'd like every couple months make a round trip and just see like, oh, do they have anything that I'm still looking for? So that was like a rare store in a mall that I was actually interested in going to and looking at and would buy stuff. But yeah, for the most part, I don't have a lot of interest in the stores that are around anymore.
we had the Marshfield Mall, John. Remember
Yeah,
that? It
I
was
mean,
so small
the
though, and it was like,
Marshfield Mall.
yeah, but
Like,
like that was like a mall on its last leg, right?
yes. Um, yeah, I feel like there's some sort of Chinese buffet with my parents. Good, but then I just kind of did like a quick like glance around the corner to the other places in the mall. I'm like, oh yeah, this is dead. There's a place in St. Paul, or is it Roseville maybe, called Harmar, and it's kind of that level of mall where um barely like everything's vacant. There's any stores that people go to, like you access from the outside now, and like they don't even open their entrances into the interior of the mall anymore, which is really weird. Like it kind of defeats the purpose.
In Eau Claire, there was two malls. There was Oakwood, and then there was London. And I remember London, but they did close when I was a kid, I want to say. Yeah, so like that's no longer there. But I remember the water fountain. For some reason, when you're a kid, you're like, "Can I waste money on a fucking dream, a wish that will never come true?" You know. But it was also kind of cool. Like you're like, "Wow, there's a fucking water fountain indoors. That's pretty sweet." Um, I there was a mall towards Milwaukee, I want to say, where it was kind of like an outside mall, kind of like how like there's the hallway, like there's no roof, or maybe there was a roof, but yeah, it's just you guys ever see that kind of like how California schools are, where it's like lockers on the outside and shit.
Yeah, I think they're called outlet malls, where there's
Oh,
like
really?
outlet stores. Yeah,
That's what
well, at
it.
least
Wow.
I don't know. That's what they call them here in Tulsa, and they have like different outlet malls. But they're yeah, you the sidewalks are all outside. Um, so like you have to have sunglasses because you'll go outside and you put your sunglasses on. Then when you go into the stores, you got to put your sunglasses back up because and you go from like if it's raining outside or like if there's weather outside, it really messes with your mall experience.
Yeah.
And like going into a store, like okay, I'm gonna go into the store. It seems like a chore because you're going from outside to inside. I don't know why. It just feels like more of a chore.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Um, I have a story about the Mall of America. So there was like this youth group, and they were like gathering all a bunch of like kids and stuff, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the Mall of America for the day." And I asked my parents if I could go, and they're like, "Yeah, sure." But I was like, "Oh, I kind of need some money," and they gave me some money. So I'm there all day with like no money. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking expensive, basically. So I remember after like an hour, I was like, it was basically like a theme park, because I didn't have my parents with me or family, and all the kids I barely knew. They just took off. So after a while, I'm like, I'm in a mall by myself. I'm overstimulated, like a theme park, and I was just like so over it. And then I was like, oh man, I'm hungry and I only have so much money. But the new Batmobile from Batman Forever is is on sale, or it's there to be bought, and I chose the Batmobile over food.
And you still have that Batmobile, so it was a good choice.
I had it for a long fucking time. Yeah, that's for sure.
Meals come and go.
Yeah.
And talking about like a class trip actually reminded me of when I was in grade school, we had a class trip to, or like a school trip, like, I went to the Lutheran school and it was small enough that like the entire it took the entire school to go to justify doing anything. So they did it like every X years and it was like all grades. Um, and we went to Washington, D.C. So we saw all the monuments and all the historical American history stuff. But like every kid's favorite thing was when we just went to like a random shopping mall on the last day of the trip and just wandered around the mall and did mall stuff. Like forget like what you could have done in any city in America. Like you didn't have to go to Washington, D.C. for that.
Uh, you know what? I must like malls because I took a girl on a date to a mall. Yeah. And it was cool. We went to the arcade, we went to different stores and whatnot, and Yeah, that was pretty sweet. And I think we took in a movie as well. So yeah, I've got some good memories about malls, but man, they're all dying, you know? Like there's plenty of videos. I mentioned this before about like exploring abandoned buildings. Yeah, there's a lot of videos of that. Some are very well done, and some are like too shaky, and you just get like motion sickness or whatever. But it's crazy the amount of malls that are closing. So yeah, I wonder if Mall of America will be like the last mall to fall, y'all. Yeah, you never know. What?
Have a ball.
There you
I
go.
couldn't think of anything that rhymed.
I know. I remember I went to New Orleans, and one of my favorite things, like New Orleans as like Bourbon Street, and they have super creepy graveyards, really good food. But I also just there was a super rainy day, and we decided to, we're going around graveyards, and then we're like, all right, let's go to the mall because at least it's indoors. And they just got this big old mall, and it was awesome. Like I loved it. Like I don't, it was just like a regular mall, but for whatever reason, it was just like, I don't know, it was exciting to like go to a big city and go to their big mall. Cause I don't know, it's just exciting to be like, oh, okay, this is the mall that they go to. I don't know, like I have my mall that I went to, but this is theirs, and it
This
was
is
like,
their sunglass hut.
yeah, this is their Sabaro's pizza. Tastes the same as mine. Like everything's the same, but just a little different.
How did you guys feel about Urban Outfitters? Was it
Clothing, boring. I don't know.
was it weird? I don't know. It just seemed like everything was ironic or something. I don't know. It was very bizarre. I'm like, fucking goddamn hipsters have a
Yeah, I
business.
know
I don't
they
know.
have like, yeah, now that I think about it, don't they have like a vinyl record section and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
I don't really know much about that store. Were they just clothing or there were other items too?
Yeah, it was basically something they would make fun of in Portlandia or something like that, you know? Like I can't even think of what it is. I don't know. Everything was just like, oh, this is cool, but ironically, like it's not cool, but you're gonna buy it, you know, that sort of thing. Oh man, I can't pull anything out of my memory, but yeah, it was weird. All right, segue challenge. Let's.
I think they're pulling the metal gates down and lowering the lights.
I'm looking at the map of the podcast, and we are here, and we want to get to there. The other topic.
And it's time to go to the parking garage where we'll never find our car.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead, John.
All right. I hate overuse of air conditioning, and this is in both directions. So like to put it briefly, like I hate being cold in the summer or hot in the winter when I'm inside. Like um like I don't want to like have to be wearing a sweater to the office when it's 90 degrees outside, or I don't want to have to like be sweating when it's, like negative side because they're cranking up the heat so much. Um, and it just seems like that's kind of the norm for like businesses to do with their building. They like overcompensate for the weather. And um, like I do love of air conditioning. Like I air condition my home and heat it in the winter, but um, not to the point where I'm uncomfortable in the opposite direction of the season that I'm in. Like I'll usually err on keeping it a little warmer in the summer, but you have like you can still put on fans and stuff to keep cool. Or like in the winter, I want to be able to, wear a sweater, wear like the big fluffy socks and stuff. Like still do some of the personal clothing items to to keep warm and stuff. But um, I feel like a lot of places you go, they do not feel that way.
For sure. Yeah. At work, it was very cold. So I didn't, like thankfully I had a random hoodie in my truck. So yeah, like it was like 90 outside, but when you got in, it was, I don't know what it was. It was like fucking cold. And so, yeah, I'm glad that I got that hoodie, but I was still wearing shorts. And, so I had to find like a blanket to drape over my legs. Like it was bad. And I'm not trying to tell them how to run a business or anything, but you would think that's a little bit more expensive to have it run that way, you know?
Oh, for sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's not ironically, it's heating up the earth. I tell you, call me crazy, but I don't know, like it's very bizarre to turn on the AC. Like as established, I hate hot temperatures, but it's just gonna get hotter and gross. I'm not looking forward to it.
I remember like arguing with roommates in the winter about like they always wanted the heat higher. I'm like, okay, well, one of us is going to be uncomfortable, I guess, but then like I'm paying more money to be uncomfortable if we're running the heat more, and like that doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, like in the winter, if it's winter and it's like you have the heat on, but it's still kind of cold, like one of my favorite things to do is like I'm gonna wear pajama pants. I'm gonna wear my big hoodie. I'm gonna like cuddle under a blanket. Like that kind of stuff is like comforting when it's a little bit cold out and it's winter. And I like and that's fine. Like I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, like my work is the same way where it's really cold. Like I have to bring like a light jacket to work because it's like freezing and it's not just like it's not that it's only cold, but there's like the wind chill factor because the AC is always on. Like you can feel like the air blowing on you at all times.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, that always sucks too when like the person who wants it isn't by event and you are, so you're like stuck with the direct impact of it and they're not even getting what they want out of it.
yeah, and like I like I'm from Oklahoma, so it gets really hot in the summer. And like last week, I swear was like the first week where it was like really hot. It was like 95, really sunny out, and I just loved it. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like, "It has been like cold and rainy for months. Like finally the sun is out and it's hot out." It was so nice. And a lot of people are like, I'm just gonna stay inside all weekend. It's too hot out to go outside. I'm like, I am gonna lay out in the sun and just get a little red and sunburnt for a half hour and just like kind of sweat in the sun because it's like, it's just a feeling that I never get to feel, I swear. And like, once it's like the end of September, I'm gonna be over the heat and I'm not gonna like it anymore. But I don't know, it's kind of nice. I don't know. I would prefer that than, the alternative when it's like snowing and freezing out. You can't like enjoy that in any way. Like it's uncomfortably cold. There's no enjoying that.
Yeah,
Oh,
but like sometimes when it's like, someone has it cranked up to like 75, 80 inside, and then you like it does feel good like to go outside just, like obviously not for too long, but just for a few minutes to just like, okay, finally I can like breathe.
Yeah, that's where it like crosses the line when it's so hot inside from like heat or whatever, where you're like sweaty and you're like you can feel you're sweaty, and then you're like, oh man, you're just kind of your clothes are sticking to you, and then you go outside and you get a cool breeze, and you're like, oh yeah, that's nice.
maybe medically it's is the reason why they keep it so cold in that hospital. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a meat locker, you know. They want to keep the bodies on ice.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, yeah, like in a hospital, they do keep it cold just for the lack of germs. You know, it's the temperature controlled, but then also like humidity because they don't want there to be, you know, like mold and moisture and any of that.
Shit.
But I don't know. It gets really cold. But the thing is like like work in an old hospital, and like all hospitals are like there's not one building. It's like six buildings that are kind of Frankenstein together with hallways that are all additions, and like so like every you don't realize you're in a different building, but if you go from one hallway to the next, so they all have their own like air conditioning units on the separate buildings, and some units are better than others. Where like I'm in a really old unit that's like you can see like the old pillars from when it was first built in like the 50s, and it was like a psych hospital, and like you swear it's haunted, and like when they turn the AC on, they're like, we can't adjust it. It's either 100% on or 100% off. The only thing we can adjust is if we crawl up into the attic, we can turn the vents so they're angled and they're a little more resistance to the cold air that's blowing. And it's like, you guys legit haven't updated this in 50 years. Like, good job, everyone.
And they're like, sorry, but we decided to buy better X-ray machines. And
No, all of our X-ray equipment's like 20 to 25 years old too. And it's healthcare. It's the biggest ripoff in America. Like, nothing's more expensive than healthcare, but they don't invest any of it back into the actual building or it's so stupid.
oh, John, we were talking before about the difference between central air and a big, loud, heavy AC machine. Yeah. And like I didn't realize that for a while where I'm like, oh, I've been pampered with central air. But as soon as you don't have that and you have to deal with that big fucking AC unit, sucks, man. Yeah.
Yeah, like when we moved into our house that we didn't have central air, so we would just have like a window unit in our bedroom and then another window unit in like the living room, and uh, they didn't really keep up with the heat all that well. Like it was just always kind of hot. And we installed central air here, and it's just like, how did we ever live without this before?
Didn't isn't there a thing in Dogma where Jason Lee's demonic character is like, there's nothing more evil than central air or something like that? Remember that?
Oh, yeah, and in front of the vent with like the blue streamers coming off of it.
I remember Kevin Smith on audio commentary, like, do you see the visual, the visuals there? People say I'm not a director. Fuck you. Oh man. Segue challenge. Uh,
uh,
let's hmm,
Low this topic.
sure. Let's blow the topic, but make it seem cool while we're doing it. All right, so for closers for tonight, I have indifference or ambivalence about pet names by strangers. Basically, when you're at a store or a clerk is like, "Well, that'll be 12.99, honey," and it's just, I don't know. It's like we are not intimate like that, you know? Like it's just like it's. I'm sure they don't mean anything by it. Maybe they call everyone honey, but like they call you sweetheart. Someone calls you that, and it's like, well, you don't know me. I could be a fucking prick. I don't know. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
just
yeah, sure, I am a sweetheart, but you don't know that.
I'm certainly not going to act like a sweetheart now. Once you called me that, I have definitely imposter syndrome now. Thanks a lot, bitch. But like, it's very weird. I always kind of get like, I don't know, my defensive walls come up or something. It's so fucking weird. And then I was thinking, like, wait a minute though. Is this one of those things where it's like, oh, had she been hot and called you honey or sweetheart, it would be a totally different thing? Probably. But
Good
still though.
self-awareness.
Well, okay, but the thing is though, I still thought about it, and when a guy calls me boss, that's weird. I don't like that because again, you don't know me, and why I don't know. It's this is one of those flaws in me. I feel like I almost want to say it's a hate, and I don't even know why I'm not calling it a hate. Because yeah, whenever someone calls me chief, it's the racial undertones of it all. That's the only reason why some asshole will call me chief. Yeah, what do you guys have to say about pet names by strangers?
My wife and I always make fun of it. Like, we'll be just like eating lunch or dinner at home, and I'll be like, "How's everything tasting so far, hon?" Like, just like the waitresses and stuff do. Um, it it definitely like evokes like a diner kind of atmosphere to me, like a something like old fashioned and like purposely like kitschy or whatever. Like, um, I don't actually run into that too much anymore that I can think of. Although I was gonna say I don't care about it, but then like when you mention like a guy calling you boss, like I don't like that. Like when that happens, like that always puts me off.
But why? Like, is it the same thing where it's like you don't know me, or like what is that?
No, like the I don't know, the boss thing just seems passive aggressive to me or
Oh, really?
whatever. I don't just in general.
Yeah, it's like condescending.
Are you? I mean, do you get cat called, but like sweetly by strangers?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like in Wisconsin, I never really noticed that, but once I moved to Oklahoma, it's like it's like a southern, like old-fashioned, like politeness where everyone will call you sweetie, sweetheart, hun, and it's never like anyone your age. It's always someone who's 10 years older or 20 years older. Like if I go to a gas station or like a restaurant or something, it's always sweetie, hun, honey, and like I don't I think it's fine. Like I think it's kind of cool because it's just so different than what I've like accustomed to because I've never heard anything like that like to this level in Wisconsin. But like I don't know, it's just kind of like old people being like polite, but it only works if it's like an older lady saying something sweet to you and nice. Because yeah, if it's like a dude and they're like, you know, thanks, uh, oh, what is it, buddy, buddy. I hate it. Anytime so, thanks, buddy, and I'm like, I'm not your buddy, guy. All right, and then,
I'm not your guy, friend.
yeah, I'm not your friend, pal.
Little South Park reference. Come on.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like anytime like a guy does that, but it's weird because like I've said that to other people and then like I'm like, "Oh shit." And I realize I said it and I'm like, if they get pissed at me, I'm totally gonna understand. Like
Uh,
they can rightfully give me the side eye like, "Fuck you." Like I would understand.
You're like, I'm not even gonna fight back. Go ahead and kick my ass.
Yep.
I had it
I
coming.
deserve it. I had it coming.
See, that's the thing. Like, I've never called a stranger honey or sweetheart, you know? But like people around my age have done it. Although again, this woman was around my age, could have had something for me. Who knows? But I think yeah, it's a weird thing with customer service, maybe just specifically, right?
Yeah,
But
I think so.
okay, but is that taught? Is that in their orientation? Where like make sure to make the customers feel familiar with you by saying sweetheart or
I bet it
honey.
is in some places, like yeah, especially places with like a diner vibe.
Well, I worked in customer service, but I was never told to do any of that though. You know, yeah. But I mean, I would find it very hard to do that if they're like, make sure to call, say something like that, like 12.99 honey. Like I don't think I called my loved ones honey. You know what I mean? Like, John, do you call Rochelle honey? Like non-ironically?
Oh, I was gonna say only ironically.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I think it's weird. I think it's weird that the sweetheart and uh sugar tits is still around.
Well, I was gonna say, we were talking about how it's off-putting when men use any of these like names when talking to us. It's even like creepier when men like call like women sweetheart and stuff like that, like people they don't know. Like it's just such a creep factor.
Yeah. I think there's that meme where it's like this, I don't know, it's like an office and some ugly dude says like, "Oh my God, nice dress" or something like that, right? And then the girl's like, "Oh my God, call HR." But then like a handsome man says the same thing and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like let's go on a date" or something like that. That's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of I know myself and like other people like
Myself.
who I work with will say, like, oh, thanks, hon, or you have a good day, hon. Like everybody says hun down here in Oklahoma. Um, but then also people would always say, and I didn't know this at first, people would always say like, oh, bless his heart or bless her heart. And do you guys know what that means?
Uh,
It isn't it like you foolish idiot or like
Yeah, you're basically calling someone an idiot. They're like, bless their heart, when they see just a stupid person doing a stupid thing, they're like, oh, well, bless their heart. And I was like, I didn't realize it at first. But then it's like, it's super hilarious when they're like, oh, bless his heart, but, he's gonna struggle.
Dang. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing that's still around. It seems like it would go away, but but yeah, there you go. Maybe I'll feel different when those pet names go away the older I get. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Oh no. I miss it. And that's the show. Yeah. I have a
Right.
sense of these things. I know when we're done. Tell them about the email, John.
Oh, well, like we're sick of coming up with our own topics, so get these lazy listeners and viewers to help us out a bit. So, if you have something that you love, hate, or are indifferent to, send an email to topics at a few goldilockbears.com. Um, we'll put a link in the show notes here and tell us what you love, hate, or are indifferent to and why. And maybe we'll talk about it on the show.